watch this.
Apparently, there's a lot of people who want to spend the night in Caldwell. So many they want to build a new hotel. But there's also a lot of people who don't want to see it built in a place they're used to parking.
Well, this is not traditional at all, right?
Cows can graze on grass, on hay, and seaweed? Yep, even the landlocked livestock. And it's all about lowering their carbon hoofprint.
I've tried my best to be good this year. I know I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm very sorry.
Yeah, he's making a list and checking it twice, but he's also reading your letters. A holiday wish list redial with a modern update. Well, the city of Caldwell is one step away from getting a new hotel, but the place they plan to build it isn't exactly gaining a lot of favor from those who frequent the Canyon County Fairgrounds. See, there's an empty dirt lot right across the street from the fairgrounds that has been used as a parking lot during big events. If you've been to the Canyon County Fair or the Caldwell Night Rodeo, you've likely checked that lot first because, well, it's just so convenient. But you can imagine why there's a big pushback, particularly those who roll up there with livestock. Last night, Caldwell City Council took up the developer's letter of intent and heard from a lot of people intent on stopping it from being built. Here's Aspen Shumpert.
Canyon County is one of the fastest growing spots in the state.
The city of Caldwell is going through growing pains.
And the city of Caldwell is one that hotel developers have been eyeing.
It's something we need extremely bad. We have excessive leakage here in Caldwell with the limited number of hotels that we have. Many of the people that come to our great events here at Caldwell and visit Caldwell end up staying in Nampa, Meridian, even out into Boise.
KSA Investments want to turn the dirt lot at the Caldwell Event Center over by the fair into a minimum 100-room hotel.
There's a lot of activities that generate around those uses, so it'll be a great place for those people to stay when they come and go to the Caldwell Night Rodeo, or if they're coming to the fair or the other many events that are taking place.
But at Monday night's public hearing on the hotel, Caldwell residents disagreed, including those who used the parking lot to house livestock and equipment for the fair.
These kids have taken on the responsibility to be the stewards of life and land. And to put them on the back burner and say you don't matter would be absolutely the most irresponsible thing this panel can do.
Abigail Johansson has shown livestock at the fair for years.
In past years, it has been hard enough to find parking and be able to bring in resources as exhibitors who have to stay all week. Having to bring equipment and livestock from across the road or train tracks just isn't realistic.
And Abby Michaelis and her mother park in the lot for open ride days at the fairgrounds.
I am selfishly disappointed horse trainers and to not have to walk or cross traffic or any of that. It's almost a safety to be able to use this and not be parked farther away or closer to the train.
Despite the pushback, council approved the hotel's letter of intent in a 4-2 vote.
It's used a couple times a year for football. It's used once a year for the rodeo. It's used once a year for the fair. And getting a full-time permanent tenant there to help with the improvements and to pay taxes and pay lease on the ground is good for that whole area.
Like many, lifelong Caldwell resident Eric Phillips thinks council moved too quick.
It's just really heartbreaking to know that this is being taken away from all those communities. We welcome a hotel in the city of Caldwell in the right location.
The letter of intent was approved last night at the council meeting. It indicates that the council has an interest in moving forward with the project for the hotel construction in downtown. Now, Brian, this discussion was supposed to take place last month in November, but actually got pulled from the agenda. Okay. The mayor said they felt like they needed more time to look at parking and some of those problems that were coming up, so they put it back on for last night's agenda, and we saw what played out last night.
Well, did they address any of those things, like the parking and stuff last night?
Right. Some of that did come up, and it's expected to come up more in that development agreement that we're supposed to see at next council meeting. Okay. I know they've been talking with the Caldwell Night Rodeo. They've been a little bit open of allowing people to park there in times of need. They're looking at some surrounding areas as well. I think a lot of those answers are going to come once we see that development agreement.
Okay, so it's not a done deal yet.
Not a done deal yet. It's close. It's one step away. Okay. That development agreement would be the last step for it to be approved. Again, KSA Development wants to get started in spring of 2025 and hopefully likely have a grand opening in spring of 2026. So I know they're looking to get that approval by the end of the year.
Certainly change that area for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Aspen. Well, you can see it on your grocery labels. You might even look for it specifically, the words grass-fed or organic. But what about net zero emission? You could pick travel options based on lower emissions. And now your food? How's that possible? And how would you know? Well, as Hunter Funk explains, it's already a label you could find on one brand of milk, this seafood or seaweed diet that could lead to having, well, I guess those labels put on things like beef. Is that possible?
Yeah, this could come. Researchers at Oregon State University are hoping to help farmers find a way to lower those greenhouse gas emissions with seaweed. And did you know that one cow can release nearly 66 gallons of methane a day into the air as they digest their food? And there are about 1.5 billion cows on this planet, so that gas can really add up. And no, we're not talking about farts. It actually comes from their burps. It's been a tough problem to solve for a while. The solution was to eat less red meat for some, but recently other countries are seeing success in using seaweed to lower the emission. Now they use it more as an additive to the grass and hay that the cattle already eat. Now, researchers at Oregon State University are seeing what we can do here in the West with a different kind of seaweed. They say if they find success like those overseas, we could have a new label to our beef and milk products.
There is things in the market already. I don't know if you ever saw a milk that's called neutral milk. It's a milk brand and they claim that they're carbon neutral. So that's the only thing they do. They produce milk. I don't know how is their process or everything, but I know they claimed it to be completely carbon neutral. So we might see some, grass-fed, seaweed-fed cattle, low carbon emission.
Now we laugh because that sounds like a long label to read, but a very informative one. And right now the milk is available at just one grocery delivery subscription called Misfits Market. It still has not hit the stores yet, but they are helping businesses like Shake Shack make the switch to a more sustainable milk. And coming up on the news at 6, we're going to look at how seaweed can be used in the West, how it might be better than what others are using and studying, and the timeline for the research.
Okay, Shake Shack, not really here, but very popular in the middle part of the country and southern part of the country. But how is it, I guess seaweed just more digestible when it comes to the emissions from cows? That's the benefit here, right?
They kind of consider it like a filter.
Okay.
It kind of like helps avoid the methane from coming out.
Less gas from the cows.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Burping gas.
Burping, not from the other end.
Other end, yeah.
All right, thank you. Well, an attempt to stop someone from speeding actually made them go faster. A high-speed chase on the interstate led to 2 arrests in Canyon County. Abby Wilt has details on that story and how you can keep the holiday spirit going by giving in today's 411.
2 people are in jail after a high-speed chase that reached 115 miles per hour. At 7:20 last night, Idaho State Police tried to stop a car from speeding. The car sped away westbound on I-84, and while passing through Middleton, the driver slowed down so a 37-year-old man from Kuna could jump out. ISP arrested him for possession of drugs. A Middleton police officer then intercepted the car by exit 25 with a stop stick that deflated the car's tires. Troopers arrested a 39-year-old female from Salmon driving the car and later found out she had a warrant for her arrest. They're both now in the Canyon County Jail, and thankfully, no one was hurt. It's getting cold out there, and we want you to stay warm. Our Path Home released a guide to Boise's warming locations to help people find shelter this winter. Some spots include City Hall and the Boise Public Library. You can find more information on our Path's home website. Want a fun, festive, and free thing to do tonight? Then you can head to the state capitol to see the Capitol Christmas tree lighting. Festivities start at 5:30 with music, cookies, hot cocoa, and Santa. Then you can enjoy the tree lighting. It's at 6:30. Today is Giving Tuesday, which also marks the kickoff of the Idaho Trails Association's annual membership drive. Now, through the end of the year, you can support the preservation of Idaho's trails by becoming a member. Membership starts at $30 and includes perks like early access to volunteer projects and chances to win prizes from Idaho businesses. All memberships directly support ITA's trail projects, including special programs for youth, women, and veterans. To join and make an impact, visit the Idaho Trails Association's website. Sticking with giving, you can donate to our biggest giving event right now. 7 Cares Idaho Shares supports 9 charities dedicated to feeding hungry families and helping those facing homelessness. Then on December 14th, catch our KTVB team at various locations across the Treasure and Magic Valleys for a morning of giving. For more details or to donate, text 7CARES to 208-321-5614. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Wilt.
Well, we hope you've been good this year because now it's up to the big guy to decide. Will you get your wishes granted or just a lump of coal? A look back at letters to Santa from a quarter century ago and today. Now's the time of the show to let us know if we've been naughty or nice, or more specifically, your take on what we've talked about today. Text us your comments, your concerns, and of course your story ideas. Just make sure to include your name and the hashtag the 208. That way we know it's for us. Well, this is historically and currently the busiest time of the year for your local post office, between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve. This is when the U.S. Postal Service will deliver about 15 billion pieces of mail and about 900 million packages. And many of those pieces, believe it or not, will be letters sent to Santa. Worries about those notes to the North Pole getting lost or bogged down with all the extra bags that mail carriers are carrying? Well, they were the same worries 25 years ago when John Miller took a few of those letters directly to the man himself in today's 208 Redial.
Did you know the post office nearly triples its production this time of year? And of the millions of letters that come through here during the holiday season, a good chunk are addressed to this guy.
Now, I know all the mail always gets to you anyway.
But you never can be too sure.
I was hoping maybe you could read some of these.
Dear Santa, hi, it's me, Josh. Remember me?
You remember Josh.
Oh yeah, I've tried my best to be good this year. I know I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm very sorry. I don't know why. I admit I've been really obnoxious at some point.
I have been a really good girl is what I want. For Christmas is a kindergarten baby and big horse. I think really what you ought to bring this kid is maybe a dictionary.
Yeah, and I got elves that are real good at deciphering codes too.
Even gets pictures of them.
Some of those get pretty interesting too. Some people ask for things for their mom. My mom would like some earrings. My daddy wants some Jell-O for his hair.
Yeah.
Jell-O?
Well, maybe he likes Jell-O-colored hair.
How many letters do you get up at the North Pole every year, would you say?
Oh, I'd hate to guess.
But they're all chock full of wishes and Christmas concerns.
I guess they're mostly concerned about how I get to the houses and stuff so fast.
How do you get to the houses so fast?
Got fast reindeer.
All right.
Anyway, on with my list.
Dear Santa.
I've been an angle all year.
Wonder what kind of angle? Right angle?
Right angle, yeah.
Right.
My mom is fine, so is Sniffy, Thomas, and Moochie. By the way, I sold my goat. He was getting to be annoying.
They're always good to hear about the goats and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, all the kids.
Oh, it's going to be a beautiful Christmas.
So don't worry.
Don't worry at all.
John Miller, Idaho's News Channel 7.
And yes, letters to Santa are still a thing around the Treasure of Magic Valley. It's pretty much everywhere. But there are special mailboxes set up in Star, inside Eagle City Hall, in front of City Hall Meridian, and in Twin Falls. Just so you know, Eagle will be accepting those letters until December 9th, Meridian until December 15th, Star until December 18th, and Twin Falls through December 20th. And for those who don't live in those cities, we can send your letter to Santa the old way, through the mail. U.S. Postal Service has been offering this special Operation Santa service for the past 122 years, actually 112 years, excuse me. So if you want to send him a letter, here's his address: 123 Elf Road, North Pole, 88888. That's the zip code. Make sure you get that on there. And also make sure you put on a stamp and make sure your return address is clearly written so Santa knows where to drop off whatever might be on your wish list. And we just happened to find a couple from Idaho on the Operation Santa website, like this one from Lawrence, who wants a Sculpey clay kit, I think it's what it says, a Technic airplane fly kit, which I believe is Lego, right? Lawrence would also like mystery presents. There you go. Meanwhile, 4-year-old Ariana, yeah, we'll call her that, is asking for, well, something for the whole family. She just wants Disney Frozen toy figurines, a rainbow horse and a unicorn, who doesn't, a big Hello Kitty blanket, and a huge bag of gummy worms, ditto. But she would also like her baby brother to get some toy trucks and also a big blanket. A real soft one, please, she says. Oh, and could you throw in some pots and pans for Grandma to cook with and a tool set for Grandpa? You too can go to USPSOperationSanta.com to read more of these letters to Santa. What would you want to ask from Santa? Or a better question might be, what do you want to ask us? Text us your questions, your comments, and your concerns to the number on your screen, 208-321-5614. As always, include your name and the hashtag the 208. And remember, keep them clean, concise, and clever because, well, you don't want to end up on that naughty list.
I know the fog and the cold can certainly make it feel a little bit more dreary, but the pictures that we just saw show how it can also create some pretty magical spectacles for us. So all of that accumulation is frost. It's a very specific type of frost. It's called hoarfrost, H-O-A-R. And you can even see that in some of the traffic cameras in the areas as well. This is a part of the Treasure Valley in between Caldwell and Ontario, and you can see some of that building up on the plants on the side of the road. Thankfully, it doesn't look to be too icy actually on the road, so that's some good news for us. But Ontario has just been shrouded in the fog for about the past 2 days, about 62 hours of consistent fog, and so maybe feeling a little bit more dreary. In other spots of the Treasure Valley, we've have had more sunshine at times. So keep the fog in mind for tomorrow as well. It looks to be lingering for Ontario, and then for other Treasure Valley spots, it'll be off and on just like it has been today. But in areas to the north and to the east, like McCall, Haley, and Twin Falls, you can expect more of the sunshine and probably feeling a little bit more comfortable with those highs closer to the mid-40s over in Twin Falls with limited wind, which is something we don't really get to say too much this time of year. And so specifically for Ontario, their high was close to the low 30s again today, and their low was just 29 degrees. So that's only 4-degree difference from the low morning temperature to the higher daytime temperature. And so that's one of the ways that the inversion can make things consistently less pleasant for us. Very little change in temperature, those consistent clouds, and often the fog at the lower levels of the surface. But you can see we are seeing the visibility decrease in Boise now as that fog continues to creep to the east, just like it has been for the past few days. Ontario still at just a quarter mile for visibility, and over in Nampa we're down to a mile as well. So just know that this fog is staying in the picture for us, fueled a little bit more so by the calm winds. So that's another factor. When we get the calmer winds, the fog lingers longer. You could see a little bit more of that wind towards Boise and Mountain Home, and a little bit closer to the higher numbers, closer to Magic Valley as well. So all of those things just mean that we are going to continue to see the fog. And I know this view towards Boise doesn't look like it has too much of the fog, but it's been a mix of haze and fog. Maybe the fog is increasing just now, just within the past couple minutes. But you can see that the high pressure ridge that's fueling all of this, creating the inversion, does look to stick around and continues to strengthen into tomorrow. And our next shot as seeing some of this dissipate, the inversion conditions, it starts on Sunday. So we are expecting a weekend system to bring some more of those slightly wetter changes and hopefully kick up the winds just enough to mix out the inversion, but more on tap of what we have seen thus far for tomorrow. High 41 degrees expected for Boise, and you can see more of that hazy sunshine and patchy fog is expected through the end of the work week.
Oh, welcome back. All right, we got some comments today about the empty lot across from the Canyon County Fairgrounds that they want to put in a hotel, but that would take away some parking for people. And this one from Ed and Rupert says, it always amazes me when people complain when someone who owns ground wants to develop it because said people have been using it for their own benefit without permission. It's a good point. It's a good point. And then we got this one from Kathy in Nampa. So the same people wanting to okay the hotel in Caldwell, the ones that thought parking meters in Caldwell was a good idea. Kathy wasn't the only one who thought that. City of Caldwell can just install parking meters in that vacant lot, right, to generate income? That seemed to have worked well last time, says Rod in Boise. This one, seaweed flavored milk. That might be hard to swallow, says Chuck in Boise. Let me ask you this, Chuck. Does your milk right now taste like alfalfa? That's what I want to know. So probably not. And then finally, this one from, I think this one's from Debbie, but I guess the question that was sent is Hunter Funk the first Channel 7 news person to use the word fart in a news story? I think so, now that I think about it. I mean, what's this show turning into? We got Sophia also saying hoarfrost. We've got Hunter Funk talking about cow farts. What's this show turning into? Next thing you know, we're going to be talking about mad as clouds and haboobs. Tune in tomorrow to see if we do. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.